out of 257, we understand that only 151 of Gauteng's ambulances are working. The remaining 106 are broken or in some state of disrepair. That's according to DA Health spokesperson in Gauteng, Jack Bloom. He says he got his information from Health MEC Nomathemba Mokheti in a written reply to his questions in the provincial legislature. So let's get the politicians out the way and find out what's really happening on the ground. Always a pleasure to speak to Gauteng Emergency Medical Services, or GEMS, if you will, Acting Operations Manager. It's JP from Benecke joining us here on the South African Morning. JP, good morning to you. It's always such a pleasure having you on eNCA. So out of 257, we're hearing 151 odd ambulances are working. First of all, is that the case? And just how difficult is this making your job?
Yeah, good morning, Gareth, and the viewers, and also just a happy Women's Day to all the women who's the social glue of our society currently. Yeah, there was a misunderstanding at the Gauteng legislature on the question regarding the availability of ambulances, and the information that was given through to Mr. Bloom then was basically just on the city of Ekurhuleni. So I can state on record that we actually have much more ambulances available, and I can break them down for you as we have about 1,578 vehicles. This includes ambulances and primary response vehicles. Out of those, 1,244 is ambulances, and out of those, 836 are operational ambulances. So obviously there was just a misunderstanding in the availability of the ambulances.
JP, forgive me, I'm afraid I did miss just the first part of your question. So just surmise for me again, just so I could hear what you were saying. Is there a shortage at all, or was this misreported and misrepresented? Just briefly for me, so I don't miss out on that first answer.
So it's misreported, and the briefing was missed a little bit there. So we currently have 836 operational ambulances as we speak on the road running.
And what is the status of ambulances that need to be repaired, those that are perhaps not necessarily on the road right now? Any numbers, any reasons to be concerned?
Yeah, so the balance of the 1,244 is currently in for services, maintenance and repair. You must take also cognizance of the fact that our ambulances are very busy, so they clock kilometers very quickly. Each ambulance runs about close to 10 to 15 calls a shift, and they do anything between 250 to 600 Ks on a 12-hour shift. So over a 24-hour period, you can see easily over 1,000 Ks, kilometers on one ambulance, which also adds to the stress of the vehicles needing to go in for service, the maintenance repairs. The brakes goes quite quickly on those vehicles. They work quite hard. So we have a bigger full pool of vehicles than we actually have staff. So we're currently quite comfortable with regards to available ambulances. If you look at our staffing, for example, we only have about close to 2,700, 2,900 operational staff, depending on sick leave and leave taken. But that staff is then divided by 4, which is 4 shifts, and then divided by 2, which is 2 crew per ambulance, which then breaks it right down to about 340 odd crews available per day. So you can see we clearly have much more many more available ambulances than we actually have staff, and that's what we're trying to remedy at this stage, is to get staffing.
Let's talk about the staffing then, because it seems there isn't much of an issue as far as the ambulances are concerned. Staffing can't just be a case of putting something on PNet or on LinkedIn and hiring EMS staff, JP. It's a much longer process. You need specialists. What kind of remedy is available to you to get staff in as quickly as possible, or is this simply something out of your control?
Yeah, so there was some frustrating changes with regards to the qualification framework in EMS, where they professionalized the system, which is a good thing, but it stopped all the short courses, which was the main driver of ambulance personnel in South Africa. And the pool of the previously trained short course paramedics, your basic ambulance assistants, your intermediate life support, and even your critical care assistants is now depleted. And the new qualifications has not really come through the ranks yet, because the qualification or the training only really started last year. So we're struggling to find quality personnel. Quantity, there's definitely enough out there, but to find quality that's going to look after our vehicles and the interest of the public service is quite hard. But there is posts advertised at present, and I could also ask all the basic life supports out there that is looking for work, just to go and look at the DPSA website, the public services website for the posts.
Well, there you have from JP Benecke himself. They're looking for not just a quantity but also quality staff members at the moment. JP, before I let you go, where do you imagine this kind of report has come from? I'm not asking for a political answer. I'm just asking, when we hear that Jack Bloom got information from Nomathemba Mokgethi about the shortage of ambulances, was there a concern recently, maybe in COVID times, that there weren't enough ambulances? Where do you think that's come from? It's a very damaging statement to make, and then you have to make time to come on air with me and put the facts down correctly. Any idea where the miscom might have come in?
Yeah, so let me just put it out there that, first of all, oversight is not a bad thing. And Mr. Bloom and the rest of the political parties all form part of an oversight committee called the Health Portfolio Committee. And they basically report to the Gauteng legislature, which is your provincial highest authority, like the parliament where national reports. And they have questions and concerns that they raise to the committee, and then obviously the highest person in government needs to answer those questions, which is then the MEC. So basically Mr. Bloom and some of the politicians has asked some of the questions, and then we responded to them. But obviously when we responded, there was a misunderstanding. We thought that the question was specifically to the two metro councils, which was City of Johannesburg and City of eKuruleni. And it also was around their license applications for running an EMS service. So I think there was a bit of misunderstanding in it. But the oversight is not a bad thing. It keeps us on our toes, keeps us accountable.
So, JP, just before I say goodbye to you, sir, I just want to pick up on that last comment then. So Gauteng generally seems to be okay. When it comes to the metros, any shortages there? I think I heard you mention eKuruleni as well. Are there any shortages anywhere you're trying to work with and get around?
Yeah, so we provincialized the City of eKuruleni only last year, July. So we're still busy trying to find a footprint. Vehicles and stuff, we have enough. It's just to find that footprint within the communities or where the calls emanate from. So it's looking at your trend analysis and looking where the calls come from. Gauteng EMS does not work from fire stations. We generally work from clinics and hospitals or wherever we find a space. So because it's such a new area, to find that footprint within that 30-minute response time is what we're currently exploring. But it does cause a bit of challenges, sometimes reaching areas within that allocated response time.
Some people would just call it some teething problems with new processes, but no doubt JP van Benecke and your team are on top of it for us. From GEMS is JP van Benecke. This morning he's acting operations manager, joining us here on the South African Morning.